Welcome to this explainer. Right off the bat, I want you to take a deep breath and just pause for a second. Seriously, think about the sheer vastness of the universe, the endless turning of the planets, continents shifting beneath our feet, the absolute profound complexity of nature. All of it is moving, evolving, and functioning in this perfect, intricate synchronization. And then think about yourself, standing right in the middle of all of it, carrying this massive, invisible, exhausting weight on your shoulders. Today, we are going to completely reevaluate your relationship with reality. We're going to explore a massive shift in perspective, one that can fundamentally change how you experience literally every single day. So what if the greatest illusion you've ever bought into is the idea that you are the one controlling life? Just let that sink in for a moment. I know that right now, so many of us are just exhausted. We're completely burned out, weighed down by these endless modern demands to fix and manage and optimize every tiny aspect of our existence. But what if that heavy burden you're dragging around isn't actually a requirement of life at all? What if it's just a really convincing trick of the mind? Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the illusion of control and the burden of managing reality. Literally, from the exact moment you were born, you were conditioned to manage, to predict, and to force reality into whatever shape you desire. We're basically handed this narrative that says, hey, if you don't stay in control, the whole thing is going to collapse. Because of that, we live in this constant state of tension, convinced we're the ultimate managers of our little universe. And that creates the mind's endless demands, this frantic, never-ending cycle of struggle. But I want you to contrast that with life's natural flow. The sun rises every single morning, right? It doesn't ask for your permission. Your heart beats in your chest without you needing to manually send it an instruction. Thoughts just appear and disappear effortlessly. The exact same intelligence that shapes mountains, that guides the ocean tides, and spins the galaxies, that is the very same intelligence moving through you right now. So here is the absolute kicker. Life is unfolding effortlessly, yet our mind steps forward and falsely claims ownership of everything that happens. It's like imagine a passenger sitting in a self-driving car, fiercely gripping a toy steering wheel, sweating, pretending they're the one driving. Life wasn't waiting for your control. It has always just been happening naturally, but the mind creates this incredibly persistent illusion, pretending to be the sole author of the whole shebang. Moving on to part 2. Who are you really? Deconstructing the controller. If life is actually just moving on its own, then who is this you that is struggling so hard to control everything? What exactly are you controlling? And who is the one doing all the sweating and struggling? Well, if you really observe it closely, the person you believe yourself to be is almost entirely made up of thought. We call this the ego. It's really just a temporary construct. It's simply a collection of memories, fears, desires, labels, and these constantly repeating stories looping in your mind. The mind builds this whole identity and firmly declares, this is me. I have to succeed. I have to control this. I must fix everything. But ask yourself, before that specific thought of I must control even appeared in your head, what were you? And when those thoughts finally become completely silent, what actually remains? Take a second to step back from all that mental noise. Because when the stories stop, you don't just disappear, right? So what's left? What remains is pure awareness. It's the silent presence, the pure being that stays perfectly intact when all the thoughts fade away. It's the true witnessing presence. And the absolute game changer here is realizing that this pure presence is who you truly are. The second that clicks, the heavy burden of control begins to melt away. Life stops feeling like this chaotic thing happening to you, and instead it becomes this beautiful movement unfolding within your awareness. Which brings us to part 3, the paradox of surrender and the harmony of letting go. Now, I know the word surrender gets a pretty bad rap. We instantly think of it as weakness or, just throwing in the towel on life. But true surrender is actually the exact opposite. It's waking up to the fact that you were never separate from the flow of existence to begin with. It just means no longer fighting reality and no longer trying to force life to obey your mind's frantic demands. And the crazy paradox here, the more you stop trying to control life, the more harmonious life actually becomes. Of course, it's completely natural to be wondering, okay, but if I stop controlling everything, isn't my life just going to fall apart? That is a very valid fear. The ego is terrified of this because the ego only survives through this illusion of control. It desperately needs to feel important, separate, and in charge. But let's put that fear under the microscope for a second. Was your life ever really under your control in the first place? I mean, did you actually choose every single thought before it popped into your head? Did you meticulously plan out every single random event, encounter, or accident that shaped your journey so far? Of course not. Life simply unfolded moment by moment completely beyond your grasp. Existence keeps on going whether your ego struggles with it or not. It's like a river. It flows whether you exhaust yourself trying to swim upstream or whether you just lean back and float with it. And here's the thing. When you stop fighting, actions still happen. Decisions still get made. But they happen without that underlying grinding tension of fear. That isn't passivity, my friends. That is true freedom. This brings us to a quote I absolutely love. Real peace does not come from mastering life. It comes from releasing the need to master it. Honestly, most of our human suffering just comes from arguing with reality. We convince ourselves that peace will finally show up once the conditions are perfect. Once we achieve enough, fix enough, or finally gain enough control. But that chase literally never ends. The mind will always invent just one more condition for your happiness. Let's look at part 4, becoming the silent witness. Stepping back from the screen. And this brilliantly illustrates how we actually do this. Let's ground this in something practical so you can start experiencing this awareness today. Think about what it's like when you're watching a really, really great movie. Emotions well up, excitement washes over you, joy appears, maybe even pain appears. But deep down, you're still seated in the theater. You know you're the observer watching a story unfold. You don't suddenly feel the urge to physically jump into the screen and try to rewrite the scenes, right? Well, existence works exactly the same way. The moment you realize you are the awareness witnessing the play, and not just the stressed out character running around inside it, the suffering entirely loses its grip on you. If you want to experience this yourself, try the practice of self-inquiry. Just sit quietly for a few minutes each morning and evening, and let me be super clear. This is not about trying to forcefully suppress your thoughts or demanding some rigid silence in your brain. Just witness. Notice your thoughts appearing and disappearing, kind of like clouds drifting across the sky. Notice the emotions moving through your body. Just observe how your core awareness remains totally 100% untouched by them. And when a challenge pops up, just ask yourself inwardly, who is suffering right now? It's amazing. These simple questions pull your attention right out of the mental noise and drop you back into that silent, wide open space of awareness. Finally, part 5, freedom and letting go. The realization of true peace. As that space opens up inside you, we arrive at the ultimate realization. You don't have to wait for some massive moment of severe suffering, heartbreak, or total exhaustion to finally break the illusion of control. The mind usually just rebuilds those illusions once you get comfortable again anyway. The profound, beautiful truth is that this peace is available to you right now, this very second. The greatest discovery you will ever make is that the one struggling so desperately was never real. The controller was only ever a mental image. When that fades, you realize you don't need to add anything new to yourself. You don't need to earn this peace. Reality has always been completely whole, exactly as it is. Think about when you're in a deep, dreamless sleep. Your personal identity vanishes, the worries disappear, and yet peace remains. That exact same peace is available to you while you are wide awake. The universe is functioning with an incredible natural intelligence, and it never, ever asked you to carry it. So let go. Just be still. Stop exhausting yourself trying to run the universe, because the profound truth is, it was never your job. If you finally put down the weight of the world today, what beautiful things might naturally unfold in its place?